Okay, folks, so we're looking at All My Lovin' by the Beatles, and this is a really interesting song. There's some cool stuff going on here, not the least of which is this first chord, right? Now, you may be mistaken. You may have thought that that means nimble chameleons, but that's not what it means. It just means there's no chord. So it's actually not that interesting. But one of the things that we're looking at here is the fact that we start on an F sharp minor chord. And, I've said in previous videos that the first chord of the song usually tells you what key you're in. A lot of times that's the case. That's not the case here. If you make an argument that this song is in the key of F sharp minor, you will look dumb to everyone and you will be awarded no points. Okay, so this is going to be your 2 chord. And what I look at is, I just look at the chords, but specifically the last chord in the verse. Oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes that will also tell you what key you're in. So F sharp minor is the 2 chord. Then we got the 5 chord. The 1 chord makes its first glorious appearance here. And then the 6 chord here. We have the 4. Then, that's the 4. And then we have the 2 chord again. And then interestingly here, we have the flat 7. Okay, what we call the flat 7 right there. Coming between the 2 chord and the 5 chord. Not necessarily how you see that 7 chord used a lot, but it works. So then we got 2, 5, 1, 6, 4, 5, and then 1. And man, there's a lot of chords in there, right? The only ones we don't have the 7 chord, and the diminished 7 chord, and we don't have the 3 chord, but they've hit most of the other ones, so well done, Beatles. Okay, so that repeats in verse 2. Then we get to the chorus, and this is where it's really interesting. So we have a C sharp minor, that's our 6 chord. Then we have whatever the heck that is, a C augmented chord, and then we've got the 1 chord. Now, the C augmented chord is not in the key of E. It's also not in the key of C sharp minor. It's not in any of these diatonic keys that we usually are working with. And it's interesting because this is a whole measure of C augmented right here. And one would think that that would sound really super dissonant, but it really doesn't. It is actually quite nice sounding right here. And let's talk about what's going on. I would say this is just a kind of a bridge between the C sharp minor and the E. Because C sharp minor going to E is not the strongest sounding chord progression, but you throw that C augmented in there and it really, really works really well. So the C augmented has these notes in it, C, E, and G sharp, okay? And I think one of the reasons this works so well is, we'll start with the G sharp, okay? C sharp minor has a G sharp. Obviously, we just said this has a G sharp, and this has a G sharp. So that note is in common between all 3. Then we got the E, and E is the 3rd in C sharp minor. It's the 3rd in the C augmented, and it's the root in E, obviously. So that note is in common with all 3. Then we look at the C. So C sharp, we have a C sharp here. Then we go down 1/2 step to the C for this chord. And then we go down 1/2 step to get to the B in the E. And that is just really cool. That's one of the reasons this works really well, is because there's so much in common. We've got one note that's just kind of moving stepwise down to that 1 chord. And if you're not familiar with that song, you should listen to it. Listen to that chorus. It works really well. Okay, so we move on from there. We've got a solo section here. It basically is just kind of looks like a blues almost, right? We've got our 4 chord. We've got the 1 chord, then we've got the 5 chord and the 1 chord. And then things just repeat here. We've got the verse again, same chords, and the chorus again, and then that is the end of the song right there.